get hold of the Nintendo Entertainment System. When you master Rob, the video robot, and meet the challenge of Gyrobites. When you shoot the light-sensing Zapper. When you play the system with so many arcade hits, you're playing with power. The Nintendo Entertainment System Deluxe Set. Batteries not included, Super Mario Brothers, and other games sold separately.
And hello again. Welcome to another episode of the Nerds with Attitudes. This week's episode, we will talk about video game peripherals. Both good and bad. And yeah, shitty.
More bad than good.
Yeah, it's predominantly bad.
So guys, introduce yourselves to the people out there.
This is Jimmy.
Back in the day.
This is Betts. So, okay, we're going to start off with the Nintendo era. And I think the Nintendo era probably had more peripherals than any other system ever. Just because everyone wanted to get in the home video game system market. So
They did have Nintendo is notorious for having multiple items that were brought out and utterly failed.
I think most of them were just crappy products. Like, it almost feels like they never play tested any of this crap.
Well, you know they didn't. I mean, we're talking late 80s, early 90s. I mean, again, like as Jimmy stated before in a previous show, like, look, we were the guinea pigs. We were the test subjects of these systems and on these peripherals and these games of just like, well, just throw it out there and see what happens. Kids will figure it out.
all right, so the first one that we'll talk about is the Nintendo Zapper, which is the light gun. Probably the most favorite peripheral of all time is that light gun.
It's the most iconic. By all means, it's probably the most iconic.
It came with the
Nintendo.
the action set. I think that's the one that sold the most.
Yeah.
There was the action set, there was the core set, and then there was the one that came with Rob, and later on with a power pad. But yeah, it came with the 2-game cartridge, Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt.
Yeah, everyone had that. That's the one that I had. That was when I got mine.
That's the
The
one
Duck
I
Hunt.
had.
And every time you could always, like the old joke, even my wife recalls when she was a kid, in the middle of the night you hear the clicking of the gun as my father-in-law's up all night playing Duck Hunt.
So he was playing with the sound off.
And pretty much he's notorious for that. You turn the sound off pretty much to almost complete silence, and he'd be up in the night hearing click, 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 click.
Other than Duck Hunt, do you remember any other game you played with the Zapper?
I can only speak for the ones I have, which is Hogan's Alley and another shooter game I have called To the Earth. I think the biggest tragedy to me about the Zapper is really it wasn't a very bad peripheral. They just didn't make any games for it.
Or the games that were made we didn't know about. Because remember, we talked about this before, again, talking about games and things like that. And we discussed we always thought there was only a handful of games, and I pulled the list up. There's a lot of Nintendo games that came out that used the Zapper. The problem was they weren't promoted. The only ones that I know of, even to myself, that I know that I've played were Hogan's Alley, like Jimmy said, and Duck Hunt. There weren't many others that were put to the forefront, which is a shame because it was a very solid item. It worked really well with tube televisions. It was a really good peripheral.
Yeah, the gun did work extremely well.
Now honestly, this isn't any true or not. I'm just speculating here, but I know when they brought the Zapper over, they had to change it from pitch black to the freaking red and gray. I almost wonder if Nintendo was maybe squeamish to make these games for the American market, just because like people did make a lot of freaking uproar about various gun games that came around during this time period. People were really like, oh, kids are gonna get shot, or
Well, I think Nintendo was forced to do the color change. Yes, that's true, but that was peer pressure, obviously, from social groups and everything like that at the time, and I think that is the primary reason why the Zapper was changed from black and gray to red and gray. But I mean, I think just the games themselves were not promoted well. I mean, again, I think it's just peer pressure. Maybe it was social at the time,
it
but
feels to me like there must have been some kind of aspect of self-censorship on Nintendo's part.
Nintendo's shown that through the years, though, of doing that.
Notoriously on numerous occasions. It just
They cracked down on their own people in some cases to avoid a lot of probably.
Because I'm trying to go back to that list that you pulled up that one time. I mean, it barely exceeded 20 games.
I think so.
Again, that's a pitiful friggin' number.
Considering how many games came out for the NES. Yeah,
that's
Nintendo
a pitiful ass number.
Is just enormous.
Did you guys ever see the scope accessory you can add to the Zapper?
What does it look like? I mean, you might have to describe it. I don't think I
It
have.
looks like a scope. We just put it
Literally
on
just
top.
A scope you put onto the top. Oh Jesus!
Christ.
Did it actually have any kind of magnifier? Did it actually target properly?
I have no idea.
Probably not.
You're still remembering the system that fucking all it did was just it flashed on the screen, for God's sake. That's all it did.
Yeah.
I'll post it on Facebook and on Twitter to show you guys what this. It's an accessory to an accessory. You put the scope on top of the zapper. Did it work? I don't know.
19 games.
Yeah, it wasn't even 20. Wow.
And one that was unlicensed.
So 18, really.
Yeah, a 3-in-1 super gun
What
was
was
the
the
unlicensed
unlicensed?
game.
Chiller?
Super one. No, super gun.
Oh,
3-in-1
Chiller.
Super gun. Chiller's
Okay,
a real game.
okay.
Oh no, that was unlicensed as well.
Yeah.
Chiller. Was it Chiller game where you had to use both the controller and the zapper? I
My
think?
understanding is it's only the zapper, but essentially the game is, I mean, to put it honestly, it's basically a torture game. You have like a whole bunch of poor bastards on like guillotines, racks, and when you shoot them, I mean, like they lose legs, they lose their heads. I mean, it's a pretty violent fucking game considering the era.
Yeah.
This is even before the ESRB, so like.
Player takes on the role of an unseen torturer who must maim, mutilate, and murder helpless enemies in a variety of dungeon settings. Few of the enemies in the games are capable of fighting back, with the challenge element lying in how quickly the player can cause each of the victims to die. Sold poorly in the United States because arcade owners refused to purchase it. Successful though in third world countries. You gotta love it. You gotta love it though. I mean, hey, I don't really. I mean, the game just sounds kind of stupid, honestly. And it was 1986.
Over 1 million sold in Yugoslavia.
Right? Yeah, I'd love to see that.
I've actually played it. I've seen videos of it. There's not a lot to it.
This game was
Not a lot to this
made
game.
by American game cartridges out of Australia. So give them credit where credit's due. The Home Entertainment Suppliers of the company. They made a game that was just sick in the head. I mean, what else can you say?
And the only reason I even played it the one time I did is I actually found it on the rental shelf. I was like, Chiller, what the hell is this? I rented it. I played it a couple of times, and I actually turned it on because, like, I am not letting my fucking parents see this fucking game.
Yeah,
no goddamn
But the
way.
Nintendo goes away. And then the game you're thinking of that used the controller and the controller and the gun
Was it Bayou Billy?
was Gotcha the Sport,
Oh, gotcha, yeah.
Laser Invasion, and Shooting Range
Okay.
are the ones that require.
I thought like Gunsmoke was another one for some reason.
Gumshoe is another
Gumshoe.
one. Hogan's Alley. The
So
Lone
personally, how many games did you play that used the zapper?
Number of fingers on my hand, tops.
Ranger.
5,
Honestly,
maybe.
2 games.
Me too. 2 games. Hogan's
I only
Alley.
own, like I said, I only own 3: Duck Hunt, Hogan's Alley, and To the Earth. Chiller I played, and I want to say maybe Gumshoe. Maybe there's a little bit more, but
Wild
that's
Gunman.
not a lot.
That was always the
Not a lot.
case though with the video game guns. It's only like 1 or 2 games we really played.
Most people have never heard of them, let alone played them.
All right, so Rob the Robot.
God.
Rob the Robot was a robot that came with like the Supreme sets. I don't even know what it's called, but it was a robot that you can play games with.
Supposed to be able to play games with.
You can only play like 2 games. That's it.
Yeah, it's
Gyro Man
I
or
think it's Gyromite is the only
Gyromite,
one. Maybe there's another, but I thought it was only Gyromite.
and the disc game that came with as well. I think it came with. Not even sure. Yeah, it had to because the disc came with the set. So it was only it would only show Rob picking up discs and you can control them. But this was the 80s when everyone was into robots. And I guess it was appealing for people to see a robot. And it would probably piss you off to have you having to play with a robot and having to
Well, the thing is, like, okay, let me ask this: of who's here, who has actually seen this thing in action, not in videos?
not me. My neighbor had it, but she had it in in her garage.
I only knew one person back in the day who owned it. My friend Scott. His dad, but when it first, his stepdad, I believe, when it first came out, bought that Ultimate set. By the time I actually bugged him to I want to see what this thing can do, it was fucked up. It was broken. I don't think it could even hold on to the little freaking discs. We tried using it on Gyromite and it just didn't work. So I barely saw a barely functioning Rob. Like it sort of moved its arms, but in terms of like the way it played with the games, I thought it was busted. It didn't work at that point. I always personally thought Rob was a Trojan horse for the most part. It just got people's attention to get the system in the door. Sure, the piece of crap would freaking fail on you after a couple of months of use tops. My friend Scott, I think, said you barely even used it and the thing freaking broke. It was delicate. It was a very sensitive, delicate thing. Like the arms were really brittle, couldn't pick up a whole hell of a lot. I mean, it was just a... Again, I think it was just a Trojan horse. It was just a way to get people to buy the fucking system.
And it only had 2 games. And I'm looking at it right now, the 2 lists is Gyromite
and Nest Stacker.
Stack Up.
Yeah, Stack Up, that's right.
That's it.
Okay, so
That's all he did.
in Gyromite, the way he would help you is he would open doors for you.
Yeah.
You depending on a robot, Jimmy, how would that make you feel to beat games?
From what I can recall, like it was like the response was incredibly slow. Like you're better off just playing Gyromite. Gyromite as is was it was an early on game, but it wasn't that shitty. It was kind of fun. It was a little puzzler game, but playing with Rob, oh god, that was just like getting your freaking teeth scraped. It was just a pain in the ass. It was just slow. It was tedious. The thing didn't work. It was just junk, in my opinion. Anyone who's actually got a fully functioning and still working Rob to this day can count themselves lucky, because if it still works today, that means they must have had it in the box from day one. I don't know how those things would function otherwise.
Yeah, even look at a picture of this thing. I don't know how.
I mean, I'll give Nintendo credit. It did look cool. Even when I first saw it at my friend's house, I was like, that thing looks really cool. But it's like when you actually bust it out, it's like it's worthless. It looked cool, but
it was really tiny. It wasn't nothing like that I expected when I saw it on the commercials.
Yeah, I don't think it was even like a foot tall. It was not very big. It looked bigger on the commercials, as you can figure. It did look cool though. I mean, not to mention like even though it was a little late, I had already seen that 180s movie was a Short Circuit. I always wondered if they based the robot in Short Circuit loosely off a Rob.
This actually came way before Short Circuit.
Yeah, that's why I was wondering if they based the robot on Short Circuit off of Rob, because the similarities are really close.
Can you imagine though playing Contra with it? like
I can't even imagine that. It'd probably be like, again, like your Rob would be on the backside of the screen getting you freaking killed by everything on the front end of the screen. Yeah.
And Jimmy getting pissed and then hitting it, right? No, Jimmy, no.
Kick it over and knock, unplug it just so I could actually not die.
Fuck you!
I have feelings.
I love this. I found one online. Somebody turned it into a lamp.
That actually
The best usage of Rob the Robot. They turned him into a fucking lamp.
That's funny.
All right, how many of you had the Power Pad?
No.
The Power Pad. I didn't own it, but I did play the the sports game on
Track and field.
Track and field. I played that a lot. I did play it a lot, but only a little bit when I was a kid, and mostly because I don't know, someone I knew managed to find a functioning one. We actually fucked around one evening with track and field, and it was fun as hell. But I think it was the only game it worked for. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No,
but
it has a list of games I can't even think of right now. But I mean, there's a few.
Appallingly few.
Yeah, games. I mean, it's one of those things. I never used one. I always thought it was kind of, I don't know. I thought it was too much of a gimmick. It was an attempt to get kids to exercise, I think, is really what it came down to.
Dance Dance Revolution's great-great-grandfather.
Right? Seriously, I think it is. I mean, when you get down to it, it really kind of is. It's the precursor to it.
Wish they could have had a game that you can use both the Power Pad and the freaking Zapper.
11 games.
Okay.
That's all they had was 11 games.
Hey man, it seems like a long list.
That's a hell of a lot better than some.
And that's another one where it's much like with the Zapper, finding games for the Power Pad, poof, good luck. I don't know how much the thing retailed for, but I know it wasn't cheap. And again, I don't think I hardly knew anyone that freaking had that thing. Very, very few people.
It was fun for the first 5 minutes, and then you would get tired. You would use your hands instead of your feet. It's pretty much you'd run in place, then you'd have to jump for the hurdles.
And it was wonky. I remember you'd be jumping and you'd be hitting every goddamn hurdle. It feel like you're running in place ridiculously fast and the screen is barely crawling forward.
Back in the day, what's the list of the games? Maybe they can, our listeners can look them up.
The same games, quite honestly, if you look them up. It's Athletic World, let's see, World Class Track Meet, What's another one on here? Dance Aerobics, Jogging Race, the game that was only released in Japan. Can't even pronounce it. Street Cop.
Street Cop. Wow.
I'm serious. I'm looking at this.
So do you have to run after
There's a
burglars
game
or something like that?
where the player has a chance to chase after the criminal while jumping over things to use the. Yeah, dude, this is just.
I can just imagine like the.
You say that title. I never played it, but it's like I remember this title now. I remember that being out there.
Super Team Games, another one that's only released in Japan. I can't even pronounce it. Another one that released in Japan.
Just imagine like you trying to run over like a fucking car or something and it hits you.
Yeah, I know, right? There's a lot of these were games that were never released in the U.S. in some cases.
All right. So yeah, basically it was just track and field.
Yeah, it's all running games. It's the whole core list of the games. It's all just running games.
All right, let's talk about the Power Glove.
Here we go. The one that everyone wanted and everyone hated the moment they used it. God, what a fucking turd.
So yeah, this was released I think in 1989 or 90.
Oh man.
And yes, when the commercial came out, you wanted one. You immediately wanted one.
I remember these commercials. To their credit, they did a goddamn good freaking marketing campaign for this little piece of shit. But I mean, it's like, the Power Glove, like electricity coming off it. It looked fucking cool. Even when you put the thing on, it still feels kind of badass today. Like, I still think it would be like if I had one on me right now. It's like I can feel the power until I turn on the fucking system and play the fucking games because it was awful, so awful.
First sense experience. Who played with this thing?
I never touched it.
I played a bunch of games with it. I only had like maybe one or two friends that had it, but man, it was abysmal. It was terrible.
What games did you play for it?
There's a couple of games I remember you could play with it. Like, I distinctly remember we hooked it up to Super Mario Brothers, and it was the equivalent of freaking, rubbing the top of your head and patting your belly trying to play. It was bad. I tried it with Rad Racer. The only game that I felt and it was still like you had to like hold your fist out and slightly tilt your fist to like turn the car. The thing was just awful.
Just like Lucas from The Wizard, right?
Yeah, whatever. Fuck Lucas and the Wizard. That stupid little fucking kid could not have done a fraction of what he did if he was using a real fucking Power Glove. No,
there's some guy in the
goddamn
background
way.
when they film that shit using a controller.
No, they just put that because all you see is shots of Lucas doing his thing, and then it cuts to the freaking shots of the screen. Someone just put a video of the game up, like he wasn't playing that
Somebody's
shit.
using a controller, not using that damn glove.
But I mean, oh my god, that peripheral was such a fucking cheat, because it made you feel like this thing was gonna be revolutionary, it was gonna change the gameplay, it was gonna be so cool, and you put it on, and it's just an unworkable hot mess. It was so awful.
You gotta give Nintendo credit though; it was the biggest hype machine they've ever put forward. Honestly,
Actually, Nintendo was reluctant to put their seal,
Their seal of quality.
on it.
Whatever.
Yeah, so it was Mattel who was the one that released this the Power Glove, and they went over to Nintendo and they was like, here's our new product, check it out.
Did they also come? They come with a dump truck full of money too?
Oh, sure. They dropped a dump truck load of money off at my house. I'm not made of stone.
But Nintendo did eventually, and they thought that it was gonna work better than it did. But here's the thing though, Nintendo probably played it for the first 5 minutes, and then they decided, okay, yes, we're gonna back this thing. It's the same thing with us though. We played it for the first 5 minutes and we enjoyed it, but after that,
Well, yeah, I mean, it's always the initial like, oh, this works really cool, and then after a couple minutes, you're like, wow, this is really starting to suck.
I was always kind of curious as to like how good or poorly that product did, because here was my experience with it. I knew a lot of my friends. I was never gonna get it myself. That was just a peripheral. That's not gonna happen. I'm not gonna buy it because it's just too damn expensive. But I had friends who got it, and once they got it, the word of mouth spread to all of us, like in my elementary school, and before no one wanted to buy it after that. Once the bad reviews of how crappy it was came out, everyone wanted to get it when you saw the commercials, and once someone got it and the word of mouth came out, no one at my school wanted that damn thing.
okay, that thing came out for the Christmas of '89. It did extremely well that Christmas. I think it was retailed $50.
Which this time was still a lot of money.
Yeah, and again, I'd rather have a game than buy that fucking thing.
Right. So initially it did good, but then after like a month or two,
sales dropped.
that's when they discontinued it like 6 months later.
Well, yeah, because they saw the numbers and people, again, the reviews. It was all word of mouth at that time. Once somebody, and just like that, it spreads like cancer. Once one kid goes like, man, this thing is a piece of shit. That spreads so fast. They're going to the parents going like, I don't want this thing.
And I remember to my friend, I was like, really? It looks so cool. Let me try it. I put it on. I was like, wow, this thing really is awful. Awful, awful, awful peripheral. Never should have been made.
It came with like
The only thing you get out of it now is a nostalgic blast of putting the fucker on. That's about it.
All you do is you just want to buy it and put it on the shelf in a fake hand.
It came with 3 sensors that you had to almost, it had that sticky tape on it, and it would constantly fall off the fucking TV.
Well, thinking about the Wizard, like, fucking Lucas had it in a fucking, like, big case and shit. He bought it out like it was some sort of, like, holy fucking item. I'm like, oh my, I remember by the time we saw that movie, we were like, fuck you, Lucas, that's bullshit. We know you're not playing with that fucking thing. No one can play with that fucking thing because it's terrible.
Mattel, there's another one where Mattel probably rolled out with a dump truck full of money and dropped it off.
Someone was freaking greasing someone's palm with that piece of shit.
Yeah, that thing came out.
And disappeared just as fast.
Yeah, I think it was actually promoted before it actually came out, but I could be wrong.
Oh, I'm sure they promoted the shit out. They had to get.
No, I'm saying, but in the movie though.
Yeah.
No, because I remember by the time me and my friends saw it, we were all talking about it after the movie. It was like, that was bullshit. Lucas wasn't using a power glove. No one could do that on a Rad Racer with a fucking power glove.
All right, guys. There was a peripheral called the laser scope, which was, you would look like a fucking cyborg because you would mount this on your head. It had a little laser thing attached to it, and that's how you would fire it. It was voice commanded. You would say fire.
I want to actually see the photo of this thing.
Yeah, you'll laugh. It looks like fucking Cable from X-Men.
Yeah.
The laser scope.
Yeah, I think it's called the laser scope. It could be maybe something a little bit different, but look it up. Look up laser scope Nintendo. Okay.
This was a peripheral like. I guess you saw the pictures.
Oh, this thing was so fucking stupid.
Terrible, huh?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh,
you look like freaking something out of like Universal Soldier and shit. Like,
people are having fucking fun too. I love this one. This one picture. Someone mounted it on a fucking skull.
That
looks badass. Cool. But this thing does look horrendously stupid. Oh, Jesus.
This is a peripheral I always wanted to play because I remember they hyped it up pretty good in Nintendo Power. I remember because I think they did like a little 2 or 3 page blurb on the Consumer Electronics Show this year, and that was one of the peripherals they were putting out there. I was like, that looks kind of cool. I think it will only. I always wondered how many games it worked for, but I'm guessing, as with virtually all the Nintendo peripherals, it was probably an abysmal piece of shit that didn't work.
You can play Duck Hunt.
You can play like, was it like what, Top Gun or Captain Skyhawk?
Yeah, something like that.
Like
Laser Invasion, the game that it came with.
You put this thing on the way you fired. You say fire. It was voice commanded.
I remember the commercials. The commercials were cool for it too. Another one that really tricked you.
Dude, they were all cool, man.
Yeah.
They were all cool.
Hell, even the commercials with Nintendo Power were fucking awesome during those years. But I mean, yeah.
It was wireless. It wasn't like the Zapper, which was powered by connecting. And this was wireless. You had to constantly keep buying batteries for it. That was another bad thing about it.
How many? I wonder how many double A's it ate through.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm gonna pull up the game list for this thing. I want to see.
I'm betting it's
it's gotta be a short fucking list. There's no way it's a long list. But this is just funny as hell.
Do you know?
1990.
Do you know how long the run of it was? Like, did it even last a full year?
I have no idea.
I'm sure it was very.
It was a fart in the wind. I tell you that.
Very short-lived. I guarantee it.
Oh my God, there's no.
But again, it looked cool. I mean, can you imagine yourself wearing the power glove and this fucking thing at the same time?
You look like a jackass. You know the sad part is there's no games. There's honestly no games.
For you listeners out there, this could be a good Halloween costume.
Yeah, and better yet, like get those peripherals and then find like the Captain N fucking like Letterman jacket and put that shit on, go around as like the Nintendo Cyborg Warrior or something like that.
That'd be fucking dope.
Okay.
Oh yeah, it came with a $5 discount coupon for what?
For a game?
Laser Invasion came with a coupon.
Didn't even come with the game?
For the scope. No, the game it was compatible with the NES Zapper. In the United States, Laser Invasion came with a coupon for $5 off the scope, just to help promote the sale of this thing.
Again, I will post a picture on our Facebook page just to show you guys. I'll even post a video of it. See it in action.
So fucking funny looking, dude.
Sounds terrible.
This thing looks like a piece of shit.
All right.
That's sad.
Next one coming up is the U-Force.
Oh, the U-Force.
The U-Force. Okay, it was like motion control or something like that.
Again, I think on the exact same article I just described about the CES show, I remember them showing pictures of the U-Force, and I think they were using Mike Tyson's Punch-Out as the freaking demo. But I looked at the thing, I'm like, I mean, again, I think at that point, like, I think I had already used the Power Glove, so I already thought it was like a. Because like the Power Gloves left such a bitter, sour taste in my mouth. I'm like, I'm definitely not putting any faith into these pieces of shit. You know, why would I?
There's actually a video out there with someone playing, I think it's Top Gun. And it actually worked. I think it was a video game. Was it the Angry Video Game Nerd? I think he actually played it and he did pretty well on it. But this thing was like $100, I think.
Wow, it was that pricey?
It must have been, yeah, because.
That's a system. That's an NES right there.
Yeah. 1989.
But look up the U-Force.
Printed advertisement introducing the U-Force, the revolutionary controller for your NES system. So hot, no one can touch it. Now you can feel the power without touching a thing. The U-Force from Border Brown. First one and only video game controller that without touching anything electronically senses your every move and reacts. There is nothing to hold, nothing to jump on, nothing to wear. U-Force creates a power field that responds to your every command.
Power field.
I'm reading this. This is making you the controller. It's the most amazing accessory in video game history, and it will change the way you play video games forever. It's the challenge of the future, U-Force. Now nothing comes between you and the game. Reception. The U-Force ranked 8th worst video game controller by IGN.
I didn't believe it.
MSN listed as one of the top 10 worst peripherals, rating second only to the Sega Aviator in terms of all-out crappiness.
Sega Aviator? What? Oh, you mean the Activator?
Activator, I'm sorry.
We're gonna talk about that one later.
Only second to it. Oh my god. I love that. U-Force also used infrared sensors to create a truly nightmarish controller. Don't touch, said the advertising for the device, in a rare example of an advertising campaign that got it spot on. Oh, that is so fucking awful.
So yeah, this was it was kind of like motion controls.
And frankly, again, at that point, if that price point is true, I'm not surprised.
Can you look that up? Back in the day, what was the price point for this thing when it came out? I want to say it was around $100, but I could be wrong.
Again, that's an NES right there. That's insane. That's insane. That's way too overpriced.
Right now, one in the box still valued at about $150.
Okay, but like when it came out though,
retail, it's gonna take me a sec to pull that up. But let me see what I can.
I'm saying probably close to 100 or at 100. I wouldn't be surprised. That's ridiculous.
So yeah, they didn't learn their lessons with the Power Glove.
No, they didn't, man.
Well, I mean, again, you're talking about like the 80s, like during the height of like, the zenith of freaking Nintendo's power. I'm sure everyone was like, hey, if it's a piece of shit, maybe we can get in on the bandwagon and make a couple of bucks. But thankfully, the freaking all these companies thought we were so fucking stupid. Like, nope, sorry, we might be fucking kids, but we can see through bullshit real quick. Yeah. We know what works and we know what doesn't.
Yep. They played on the emotions of the kids, especially around Christmas time. This is when they really laid it on us heavily.
I mean, like I said, all these products that, like I don't remember for the U-Force, but I definitely remember the Power Glove. I do remember the other shooter one there. What the hell?
Laser scope?
Yeah, the laser scope. I remember the commercial.
Fire!
They looked cool. I mean, again, they knew how to push that button in my brain. But again, I was never going to get them in the first place. And once my friends gave me a yay or nay, that was it.
I honestly cannot find a price on the launched.
All right. Let's talk about quickly the Nintendo Famicom Disk System, which only came out in Japan.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of it.
This was like a disk drive that you would add on to your Nintendo. So this was like one of the first of the add-ons, the add-on peripherals to your system. And what it did is it was designed for you to design levels like in games like Zelda. So they actually sold the games as floppy disks. So Legend of Zelda in Japan, it's sold as a floppy disk. You had to buy this add-on. I'm kind of glad this thing never came out in the US.
I don't know.
Because you had to buy it. Yeah, you had to buy this extra thing just to play some of the games.
Well, I mean, let me, just based on what you just said right now, could you imagine if they released this extra peripheral just so you could play Legend of Zelda? none of us would have played Legend of Zelda. I don't even know what the price point on this thing is, but if I had to buy something on top of the system just to play, no one would have played Zelda. And what a freaking tragedy that would have been. Thank God they figured out a way to put in those, whatever, the lithium battery chips or whatever into the games. That was probably a very smart move. I actually didn't know it was part of the disc system because I thought that disc drive it was for the original Mario 2, like the Mario 2 Lost Levels.
That one too.
Yeah, that was the only game I ever heard about that system.
No, Legend is because the guy who designed Zelda, what's his name? Sorry.
Miyamoto.
Okay, Miyamoto. He wanted people to design levels for Zelda.
That's a good idea.
Dungeons. It is a good idea.
I'm not against that.
But
hell, can you? I mean, if they would have added an extra, like you could get it and like make the Zelda Maker, that would be fun to play. If I had a Zelda Maker when I was a kid, oh yeah, I'd be making my own fucking crazy badass Hyrule, that's for sure.
Yeah. So again, it only came out in Japan, not here. You can only find those now like on eBay or something like that.
And I'm assuming you'd have to have a Famicom system just to make it work. Yeah, so you're gonna have to buy a Famicom on top of that.
Without one, there's no way you're using it. I've seen photos of the thing.
I'm a purist, but I'm not that fucking crazy.
All right, so let's.
You skipped one thing. Nintendo put out a keyboard for that thing.
Yeah, the Miracle.
Oh, the Miracle keyboard.
I mean, I don't really. That's more like a teaching tool more than a peripheral, because you can only play the Miracle game with it.
Yeah.
You can't use it for anything else.
And it was expensive. It was expensive.
I heard it was pretty good though. I heard it was a very good teaching system to play piano.
I thought it was kind of cool because I distinctly remember, like, my parents would always be watching, like, the news shows in the morning, and they actually had a full demonstration of the Miracle Keyboard on the Good Morning America. I thought it was pretty neat until the very end of it when they gave the price point. I think it was like $150 or something.
It came with a keyboard.
Yeah, but I mean, again, that's expensive. Let's be honest. Like, most of us here, we were lucky to get games just every now and then. Buying a peripheral at that price, your parents better be fucking rich because you're never going to see it.
Here's one random ass little thing that I've never even seen till just now. The Nintendo Speed Board.
Oh God!
Oh,
you see this?
Oh my God! Okay,
amazing?
it was just a piece of plastic.
Yep.
And it was meant for you to, I guess, some gamers just use their fingertips.
Just so you can use your fingertips instead of actually holding the controller. It has a wrist.
Almost like a fucking keyboard, okay?
Yeah. But you just slip the controller inside of it. Has a slot for the cord. It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
Just because I had a similar experience with a peripheral like that, I refer to those as the pick and save freaking peripherals.
You know the sad thing is though?
What?
This was licensed by Nintendo.
Yeah, the Nintendo
seal of approval.
The Nintendo thing was ingrained in this plastic
I thought that
thing.
gold seal was bullshit in the past, and I still regard it so today. Seal of quality.
Nintendo seal of quality, and it's just this
seal
is just
of quality. What a load of crap.
It's just a piece of plastic though that holds the controller.
But my mom, I thought it was, initially I was curious as to what it was. My mom found this thing that said it was like a turbo controller. She found it pick and say for $1. What I found out is it's basically this big bulky plastic block where you basically tie down thumb screws to the freaking button, so that's how it's your turbo. It's like it's holding it down permanently. And I was like, Jesus, what a piece of crap. I think I chucked it in my toy box and never saw it again. I was like, I appreciate my mom for trying on that one, but he actually is like I said, there's a ton of crappy peripherals like that just didn't work. Oh, okay. It's
pretty big.
The computer Nintendo keyboard.
Yeah, I mean, I heard it was a pretty good tool, but come on, as a kid, what would your parents buy you, like a Mario 2 or a Contra or the Miracle?
Yeah,
every kid would want.
It'd be a little depressing.
Yeah. All right, guys.
You can't be a dick and be like, oh, it's the dumbest thing.
All right. You guys had the Game Boy?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
You guys ever heard of the Handy Pack?
I saw a photo of it just a little while ago.
I had to see what it looked like.
Handy Pack, look it up.
I'll pull it up right now. Hold on.
Okay, but it came with the magnifier, the light, speakers, a joystick.
Handy Boy.
Yeah.
Was this the
Oh yeah, it was the
Handy Boy.
Oh, okay.
This is licensed by Nintendo.
I had some of those peripherals, not all.
This was all of them in one, and it just slid over the top of the Game Boy.
Came with speakers.
Yeah, it's fold-out speakers, a pop-up magnifier with a backlight on it, and then they put a joystick over the over the D-pad, and then you had thicker buttons to press on.
I did have the Nintendo licensed magnifying lens with light. That thing was fucking great. Because, I mean, again, I would be traveling all over the place. Like, when dark came, you couldn't see that freaking Game Boy, but you could with that light. And the magnifier, honestly, it helped a little bit. It made it feel like the screen was a bit bigger.
Yeah, there it is, the Light Boy.
Yeah, that's what I had. I got one of those.
Light Boy.
It worked out. They worked great. It worked great. It was a battery eater. I didn't like that.
Well, this thing's actually pretty cool. It's like a lot of people have said this.
Okay, it's either I think the Handy Pack was the like the cat's version, the third.
Probably.
And it's the Nintendo version was called the Handy Boy.
Handy Boy.
Okay.
Handy Pack is it's an off-brand. It's Interact was the one who created the Handy Pack.
You know, one thing I loved about with the whole Game Boy package you got is, I mean, I almost wouldn't see the point of those freaking side speakers, because honestly, I love the fact that Nintendo gave you a pair of freaking earbuds with every freaking Game Boy. I used those for years. I used them on my first freaking, again, showing my age here, my first Discman I got when I was like 11 or 12 years old.
Yeah, right.
The freaking Game Boy freaking headphones still work perfectly with any headphone jack.
Well, I mean, this thing's actually pretty cool though.
But it looks cool.
Yeah,
it
looks cool.
But at least for the peripherals building up to this point, this was one that actually worked.
But
This wasn't a joke.
Let me
This thing
ask you
actually
gentlemen this,
fucking
because I'm sure we've all put a little bit of time onto the Game Boy here. Would you honestly want to play with all that fucking crap attached to your
No, I
freaking
mean, I couldn't
brick
say.
boy?
Look.
I wouldn't.
In all
I would
fairness,
not
yeah, it's a
want
lot of
that.
shit on there, but it worked. It functioned. It was one of the peripherals that actually came out
Yeah,
that did
better
its
than nothing,
job.
but-
And I mean, yeah, I know it's a lot of stuff on there. It's a lot of add-ons that you kind of don't need. I think to some extent. But the magnifier, I think, is a big point with the backlight on it is a big plus because it did have a backlight in it.
It
The
helped.
controller advancement would help a lot for some of those games, having a joystick instead of the D-pad in some cases.
I would
You know,
have
the
liked
speakers-
to. I would have
you
liked
do
to
without
played
speakers.
with this, and I never did. I only saw it.
I actually did get to
I saw
use it
Nintendo.
once.
I think it was Game Pro or Nintendo Power. I first saw this. I was like, this looks cool.
Yeah.
Okay, but now look at this one. Look up Booster Boy.
Booster Boy? Is this a Game Boy one or something?
This is an off-brand, but look what it looks like.
Okay. Let me pull it up.
Look it up. Look it up.
Booster Boy. Okay, I found it. And oh my god. This is so fucking ghetto.
Ew.
This looks like a piece of shit, in all fairness. I think you just drop the Game Boy in it and it sits on the table basically, and it has oh my god, this thing looks like crap.
It's a Game Boy dock.
It really is. This is just hideous. This thing is fucking atrocious. I don't know why they would even. I mean, obviously, 25 terrible accessories. It made the list, of course. This is the dumbest thing I've seen, I think, in all the game. Oh my god, look at it. Like, this is how it works when you fucking drop the thing in.
Oh,
Look at that. Look at that. This thing's got a fucking top plate that goes on it when you're done.
Look how thick that is.
Oh, I know. This is insert disc too. I love that.
Dr. Poop, do you ever have the Game Boy, the original Game Boy?
Yep.
Did you have any accessories for it?
Hell no.
No, you didn't need them.
I mean, it's one of those systems that it kind of stands alone, doesn't need any additional equipment. But I mean, of all the things that have come out, like I said, I don't have anything against the Booster Boy. That thing's a piece of shit.
Honestly, during these years, I distinctly remember because all the freaking secondary products were so shitty. This is why even today I will still buy licensed products just because I don't trust the off-brands. Maybe now it's finally gotten to the point where the off-brands can actually be so close to. No. What about those freaking like specialty super gamer controllers they make for like freaking pros?
Still
and
corrupt
shit?
your system. Use it too long, it'll corrupt your system.
That's scary.
You haven't seen that? You haven't heard that?
That's why I stick with licensed products. I don't trust
not
this
Madcast.
stuff.
The ones that like the custom made ones that guys make.
It was custom. They corrupt their system and they get like what's that word I'm looking for? It'll corrupt your save data.
Oh shit.
No.
That's bad. That's fucking bad.
Fuck with your save data. That's the one thing
But
you
this
don't
thing,
want.
Like I said.
Fuck up your game, okay, but
Fine,
your
but not my save
your
data,
save
no.
data. Ooh.
No, but I mean, with this one, like I said, with the Handy Boy, it's a lot of shit on there, but at least in its fairness, it worked.
But at least Jimmy said he at least had the magnifier with the light, and that worked well.
That was a big one. When that thing came out, that was a huge step up for Game Boy.
Again, because
Without the preloaded backlight in it.
during these years, like whenever I was going on, family trips to wherever, that Game Boy was always with me, and I was grateful I had that light because again, we wouldn't always be driving home in the freaking daytime, so it was nice to be able to play in the dark.
Look at this, Jimmy. This is a list of the products that had come out: the Game Light, the Game Boy Magnifier, and the Game Boy Amplifier.
Amplifier.
It's a speaker.
I remember that.
It's a plug-in
I remember
bottom
seeing that in the
speaker.
stores.
I saw that one. I remember that one.
And this is kind of interesting because this is actually one of the it's an actual ad that
Saw
shows.
that pick and save.
This actually
enough.
shows the price points.
Yeah,
when these
Jimmy
things
said
came
he'd
out.
find all these weird ones at Pick and Save.
Yeah, the crappy ones like the pick and save peripherals that were just
But this
terrible.
is cool though. This is the NES ones. These were the Nintendo licensed ones, and this actually shows the price points when they came out.
All right, this
actual
this showed up
prices.
later in the life of the Game Boy. Actually, it's the Game Boy Light.
Yeah.
Is the Game Boy camera. You guys remember the Game Boy camera?
Yeah, I
I
remember
don't
that
think I remember
thing.
that. I want to pull a picture.
It wasn't
of that.
very good. I remember. I had a friend who had it. I never had it myself.
I don't know if it came with it, but also had a printer.
Yeah.
Really?
Had a little printer,
Oh, there it
right?
is.
It made stickers.
Yeah, there it is. It
made
makes
Yeah,
stickers.
it made like
Printer.
sticker photos. And
Oh, I'll be damned.
it was
How about
black
the-
and white. It wasn't very
The
good.
Game Boy Color one, right? It had like the little. What was that?
It was Game Boy Pocket, I
I
believe.
think it was geared towards girls.
Yeah,
for
it
them to
was.
get
It
the,
was. Yeah, definitely for
to get
girls.
the pink
Game Boy
Game Boy
camera.
Light and
Yeah.
the Game Boy camera.
There
I
it
think it
is.
was geared for girls.
With a little printer.
Yeah.
With its little printer.
Yeah, I remember the resolutions were pretty, for obvious reasons, given the years.
Oh, it
but,
looks
I mean,
like shit.
It was pretty awful, but I mean, at the time, I was like, wow, a freaking Game Boy, a camera attached to a Game Boy. That is kind of cool. But
Working off its little ass.
Okay.
I remember only one or two friends I knew had it, and they didn't play with it.
I don't
very
even think
much.
I remember it, quite honestly.
And just imagine Jimmy printing off his high scores, like, yeah, another one to the wall.
No, probably knowing me during these years, what I do is freaking take a picture of me giving the finger and then make a crap load of stickers of it and just place them everywhere. That's something I can see myself doing during
I
those
would picture Dr. Poop taking a.
Pictures of his shit.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
No. It's like one kissing Jimmy, and it'd be like
While he's sleeping, while
kicking him
Jimmy's
in the
sleeping.
balls, like, it's like, oh, Jimmy, look how gay you are
No,
here.
like what? Jimmy's sleeping. Jimmy had this tendency of sleeping with his. He looked like a chicken when he slept.
T-Rex arms.
I wish
Game-
cell phones had
Game Boy?
selfie cameras back then. Oh man, I would have.
Hey, Game Boy created the first selfie like pictures.
Technically, they
Pretty
did,
much,
right?
pretty much.
They created the selfie.
Yeah, they created the
Nintendo, they had to
selfie.
get back to Nintendo on that. Thanks a lot, Nintendo.
And that was it for Game Boy peripherals, unless you guys
No,
remember
I mean,
any more.
outside of that little speaker I just said,
That
there's
covered- that
really.
covered the game.
Okay, it's not a peripheral, but this almost everyone had this, the carrying case.
No,
Everyone had like a carrying case. You didn't have
I
one?
did.
I just had a bag to put the games in and take it with you.
I didn't get it until after I got like the Nintendo licensed battery pack, but I think oh yeah, my mom got it because it was sort of like it was a package deal, like get the case for like an extra $5 if you buy another product or something like that. So
There's a lot of free
I-
cases for this thing. There's one that's actually shaped like a Game Boy.
yeah, at least the Nintendo licensed one that I had, it worked pretty well. I liked it. It was like soft foam. It could hold a lot of games, and even though it had slots for the games in the bag, it could still cram
That
more
one?
games in there if you wanted to. So. It was like a smaller one of that. It was like
All right.
Purse.
No, I
Not
saw
a
one.
purse, it's a satchel.
I saw one. No, it looked like a Game Boy. It was plastic. It opened like a briefcase, kind of. I think that's what you're talking about, aren't you?
All
No,
right.
he's saying it's a
Maybe.
soft one. But there's I found that one. That
Again,
you were
there's so
talking about.
many
This one-
during these years. It could have been
Yeah,
anything.
that one.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that one.
There's one that
I
actually
remember
looks.
that.
It has a carrying handle.
I remember
Looks like a
Nintendo
Game Boy.
Power was advertising that one. All right, guys, let's move to the Super Nintendo and the Super Nintendo Super Scope 6
Oh God.
Bazooka.
Oh God.
Whatever.
Right, it was a whatever. I mean,
Shit.
look, the game they were advertising was Battle Clash. It looked freaking awesome, though. I never played it.
I did. That game was. That Super Scope was awful. Okay.
A lot of people were bitching about the accuracy of the
Oh, yeah.
Super
There
Scope.
was no
Oh,
accuracy.
yeah.
Because we're still dealing with tube televisions at the time, and that thing you could not hit shit with it. No matter, you could be on the screen with the damn thing and still not hit shit.
It came with sensor this time, though. It wasn't a light gun. It came with the sensor you had to plug in, too.
Yeah, it was a bar or some shit. that you
Yeah,
had to put at
something
the
like
bottom.
that.
You had to set it to the bottom of the screen or something
Right.
below the TV, and it
Yeah.
didn't work.
But again, much like how with Duck Hunt, like frankly, you had to have that freaking bazooka damn near a foot or less from that screen to make it freaking hit play. Because I had a friend who played it, and I remember playing with the scope at a distance, and the accuracy was awful. It was terrible. And if I remember correctly, Battle Clash was like a thing where you had to like hit the points on the certain
Yes.
robots at certain
Yeah.
spot. Again, if you can't shoot accurately, you're fucking doomed. So even with this thing damn near up on the screen, it would maybe function. But that again, it killed all the fun.
What
It-
fun! You assholes put it on your shoulder. Use it like a shotgun.
I did use it like
You
a
had
fucking
that helmet on
bazooka.
your
The thing
shoulder,
was
though.
terrible. The accuracy was so awful.
I'm just calling you guys assholes putting it on your shoulders. You should have used it like a shotgun.
The trigger was
It
at
was
the
like on the
top.
bottom, like-
No, the trigger was at the top.
Yeah.
It was like a bazooka.
Hip fire the thing, basically.
Maybe that would have worked better, but
Slightly.
So yeah, that was it. That
over
was
the shoulder,
it.
you were fucked.
Menacer was a lot better.
You
but
guys
not
know
so
any
much.
Super Scope 6 games other than
I
Battle
think,
Class?
the freaking like on the NES and the Super Nintendo, the satellites. I never saw the NES one, but I will stand by the Super Nintendo one. The only reason I know this is because my rich ass friend at the time, freaking Nick, he bought it specifically for one game and one game only, for Secret of Mana. So we could, I will say this much: playing Secret of Mana 3 players was fun. It was really fun.
So
You had to cooperate.
it was called the Nintendo Multi-Tap.
Yeah, the multi-tap.
It wasn't like the satellite. Satellite hooked up wirelessly.
Oh, okay.
Multi-tap, you actually plug it into your
I always wanted to
system.
see the satellite with Gauntlet. I always thought it would be so fun to play Gauntlet.
Yeah.
But
Actually,
I never had a chance
I
with
had a
This-
friend that had that.
yeah.
He did that.
Bomberman was the game that came
Oh,
with
that
the
would've been good,
multiplayer. And that my friend bought the multi-tap. It was a Hudson Soft game, and this multi-tap was also the Hudson Soft product. So it came with Bomberman, and Bomberman was so much fun.
Wasn't Nintendo
With 4
like
players.
a boomerang?
Yes,
Yeah.
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 I think. Well, no, actually, the multi-tap was
I know,
was
PlayStation
it was like a
Big
little
and
bar.
blocky. It was big and blocky.
It was
I
a
remember
bar.
that
The
much.
PlayStation one was shaped like a boomerang.
Yeah.
No, the PlayStation. Well, the PS2 was a brick, cause I have.
Yeah,
one.
PS1.
But there's different
PS1 was
variations.
boomerang.
Yeah.
Sadly, at least with the Super Nintendo one, I never played it with any other. My friend bought it only for that game. He just because again, anyone who's played Secret of Mana, it's a goddamn fun RPG.
How many hours you guys log into this thing?
We never-
Seems like a lot of like
We never
hours.
beat the game, but I remember we got at least about, I'd say, halfway through the game, because basically he kept the save file on his cartridge, so whenever like the group of us would be at his place, we'd break out the multi-tap and play that file of Mana and just keep on going forward. We never beat it, but we got far.
Good description of this game is like a 3-player Zelda.
Yeah.
Legend of Zelda.
RPG aspects. It was a fun game. The one thing that was frustrating in the beginning is you had to learn to play cooperatively, because when you brought up the menu screens to do spells and
Oh,
stuff like
yeah.
that, you would be fighting back and forth like, well, I need to cure you. Well, I want to use this offensive. You had to like, okay, I'm bringing up the menu screen. Now you bring up the menu screen. You had to learn
Very,
to
very a lot
coordinate.
of co-op.
You had to learn to coordinate. But once me and my friends got it was fun. I will say, like, for one of my earliest, console multiplayer experiences, that was a fun game to play. But sadly, it was only for that one game.
All right. Which one of you guys played Game Boy on your Super Nintendo?
I did.
Never did.
I did.
And you used the Super Game Boy,
Yep.
which was a cartridge where you can put in your
Cord.
Game Boy games. No, it was actually a cartridge. You would put
Yeah.
and then you would slide in.
Cartridge, Game Boy in.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But it was like a quarter.
So
Never owned it though. I borrowed it from my friend a lot.
So it's, I mean,
I've seen it,
look,
but I wasn't
Game Boy
impressed.
was meant to play
On a Game
the
Boy,
go.
Not in a.
But if you didn't have batteries at the time, I guess,
and you
just put
had
it
to play the game,
right.
which is an excuse.
I wanted to play Metroid on the TV.
Yeah.
That's true. I mean, yeah.
That was, see, for me, by the time I want to say that peripheral came out, the Game Boy was kind of sort of long in the tooth. It was already sort of like on its way out. And then, so like to play like Pokemon on it, to play like, freaking,
Games that
the
were
new
not released on this. On
the
the
Zelda
systems.
game on there. Like, I loved playing Metroid 2 on that thing all the time. It was nice because it projected it on a larger screen. That to me was what I thought was great about it. The color looked like shit. It was only like a single shade palette that just looked awful. It would just color everything. But the fact that you could play it on a big screen, that's why I loved it. That's why I borrowed it from my friend Justin all the time.
And that was it for this week's episode, part 1 of the Peripherals. Tune in next time for the second part of Peripherals. Thanks for listening, and bye for now.